You know that weird calm right before a playoff game? Not peaceful, more like the air is holding its breath. Because today, the red and gold story isn't only about what happens on Sunday. It's what's going on behind the scenes, what's shifting on the practice field, and one name that keeps creeping into the conversation like it refuses to go away. There's a phone call that could pull at the future of our defense. There's a crucial piece on offense trying to fight his way back into the lineup. And there's a linebacker working off to the side that's going to mess with every single fan's emotions. Be honest, do you trust this team to juggle all of that at once? And if you're rolling with the faithful, go ahead and hit like, subscribe, and jump in the comments as we go, because I can already tell this one is going to split people down the middle. Some stories sound like pure internet noise until you realize it's actual movement. And in January, movement comes with consequences. Robert Saleh, our defensive coordinator, could very realistically end up as a head coach this offseason if he wants it. The only thing that might keep him from taking a job is him being selective. And honestly, after getting dismissed by the New York Jets in the middle of 2024, he should be selective. Coaches don't usually get a third opportunity after 2 stints that didn't go the way people hoped. So if he's going to do it again, it has to be the right situation, not just any open chair. And let's be real about the landscape. The teams with openings that have been asking to speak with him don't exactly scream stable. The Raiders have been a revolving door at head coach with front office dysfunction that never seems to fully stop. And when you look at other teams that need a coach, Dolphins, Giants, Titans, Cardinals, it's hard to point at one and say, yeah, that's clearly the spot you'd feel great about. Then the board flipped hard. John Harbaugh got fired in Baltimore. 18 years of stability, and the Ravens decided it was time to move on. That changes the whole market, because now there's a quality opening that just didn't exist a minute ago. And according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, Baltimore is now on the list of teams requesting to interview Saleh. If you're talking pure landing spot, it's not hard to understand the appeal. Baltimore has shown real stability as an organization. And even if Lamar Jackson's 2025 wasn't MVP level, that's still a quarterback a coach would love to have under center. The Ravens also need a defensive overhaul, and Saleh's ability to get the most out of a young, banged-up San Francisco defense across the season is exactly the kind of resume that plays when a team wants a reset on that side of the ball. You add in a respected GM like Eric DeCosta, and the job just looks cleaner than a lot of the other possibilities floating around. Could Saleh look at everything and decide staying with the 49ers is still the best move for him right now? Absolutely. Could he say no to Baltimore if it even gets to that point because he likes another situation more? Also possible. But if you're asking what looks most attractive on the surface today, it's hard not to circle the Ravens. And while we're all staring at that future question, the present basically dropped a giant hint out on the practice field. Because this part matters right now. Like today, right now, the 49ers are getting ready for the wild card matchup against the Eagles on Sunday at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. And the best news for the faithful is this. All-Pro left tackle Trent Williams returned to the practice field. He's been out since the opening offensive play of Week 17 when he injured his hamstring, and he hadn't practiced or played since. So seeing him back, limited, but back means something. It gives the offense a real chance to open the playbook again for a road game where you're going to face 3rd and long. You're going to have to stay composed, and you can't spend the whole afternoon operating like you're one hit away from chaos. But you can feel the however coming. Wide receiver Ricky Pearsall is still sidelined after aggravating a lingering PCL issue in Week 17, though he was seen working on a side field. That's encouraging in the sense that he's doing something, but it's not the same as being full go when the lights come on. And then the list of absences on Thursday. Yeah, it's not small. On defense and special teams, linebackers D. Winters and Luke Gifford weren't out there. And neither was defensive end Keon White. That's a real chunk of the puzzle. One positive note in the middle, defensive tackle Jordan Elliott, who looked like he tweaked his knee during Wednesday's session, was present on Thursday, which helps the interior picture. And then there's the name that changes the whole temperature when you say it, Fred Warner. He was spotted doing light running off to the side, which is a sign he's still making progress as he rehabs that dislocated and fractured right ankle he suffered back on October 12th against the Buccaneers. The participation snapshot matters too, because this is what playoff weeks look like. For the 49ers, not practicing were Luke Gifford, Ricky Pearsall, Keon White, and D. Winters. Limited work included Jordan Elliott, Yetur Gross-Matos, George Kittle, and Trent Williams. Full participation included Jair Brown, Jacob Cowing, Kalia Davis, and Christian McCaffrey, who was listed as a resting player, not injury-related. On the Eagles side, Landon Dickerson was a resting player. Brett Toth was out with a concussion. Limited were Grant Calcaterra, Jalen Carter, Dallas Goedert, and Lane Johnson. Full participation included Nakobe Dean, Marcus Epps, Azeez Ojulari, and Jalen Phillips. So yeah, welcome to playoff football. Everybody's managing something, everybody's measuring risk, and games like this often come down to who can actually get their cornerstone guys onto the field. And that circles us right back to Trent Williams, because his presence isn't just nice to have. It's connected to what the 49ers want to be offensively. After not practicing Wednesday, Williams being out there Thursday is a real sign. He hasn't played since that first snap of Week 17, and Kyle Shanahan sounded genuinely unsure earlier in the week about where things were headed. Nearly 2 weeks of rest, and then he's out there testing it. That tells you he's trying to push towards Sunday. And the reason this matters is bigger than pass protection. The 49ers had the third highest outside zone rate in the NFL. That's not trivia. That's the backbone of how this offense creates angles, wins on the edge, and sets up everything else. Last week was the first time all season the offense didn't have a single rush at or outside the tackles. Not one. Week 8 was the last time they had single-digit outside zone attempts. If you ever wanted a clean example of how much one player can shape the identity of a run game, that's it, right there. Pearsall also showed up in a way that made people take a second look. He was seen jogging on the side of the field, and the fact that he was in a jersey matters because reporters are only there for the first 15 to 20 minutes. In other words, there's a decent chance he's going to test his knee and ankle more seriously once the media clears out. Quick note, testing it doesn't mean he's playing, but it's still a step. Meanwhile, the absences didn't change. Winters and Gifford weren't seen, and neither was Keon White. Winters would be a big loss because his replacements weren't even on the roster until around Thanksgiving. And White would be a brutal hit for a defensive line that already doesn't have much depth or pass rush help on the edge. With Yetur Gross-Matos missing time, White has been relatively productive in that gap, so losing that would sting in a very specific way. And again, Fred Warner was out there doing sprints and workouts off to the side. The reality is simple. The 49ers have to win to even give Warner a chance to play next week. And when Saleh spoke Thursday, he said Eric Kendricks and Garrett Wallow were starting at linebacker. That's where the team is living right now. Handle business today and keep the door cracked open for tomorrow. Which brings us to the emotional layer that everybody's trying not to say out loud. There's still a possibility Warner could return if the 49ers make a deep postseason run. Nothing is guaranteed, but Kyle Shanahan has acknowledged the chances would go up if the team reaches the NFC Championship game. He's been cautious with it. He said it's too far off right now, and it's not something they're focusing on in the moment. But he also admitted it could become real as you get closer to a possible third game, a championship game. Think about that for a second. That's the kind of possibility that changes the way a locker room feels, even if nobody's admitting it. Warner's been rehabbing hard since October 12th, and multiple beat reporters saw him running on the side field during Thursday's open portion of practice. That's not an announcement. It's not a promise. It's just visible progress, and in January, that's enough to light a spark across the entire fan base. And off the field, Warner just had a major life moment. He and his wife Sydney welcomed their second child, a daughter named Bella Nicole Warner. They got married in June 2022 in Vista, California, and they also have a son, Bo Anthony, who was born in March 2024. That stuff matters. It puts everything into perspective, and sometimes, yeah, you see it in how a leader attacks rehab, how locked in he gets, how badly he wants to be back out there. So that's the snapshot. A coordinator with head coaching interests swirling around him, a left tackle whose presence shapes the entire offensive identity, a roster trying to patch itself together for a brutal road playoff game, and a defensive heartbeat named Fred Warner, who might only come back if this run stays alive. Now I'm asking you, what do you believe? Do you want Saleh to stay and keep building this in the Bay? Or do you understand it if Baltimore pulls at him? And what matters more to you on Sunday? Trent Williams being out there, or the defense finding a way to survive without key depth? Hit like, subscribe, and let it fly in the comments, because the faithful is going to be going back and forth on this one all week.